first graders. Today we are going to read a nonfiction book called The President of the United States. And our learning target is I can identify text features and use them to understand nonfiction text. So we're going to read this interesting book that is full of facts, and the title is The President of the United States. So I'm going to open the book here. And this is what we call an informational text. That means it's going to give us true information about the topic. And our topic is the President of the United States. Here are some things we're going to look for in the informational text. We're going to look for the text features. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to look for facts and details about the topic. So we're going to learn about the President of the United States. We are going to use those text features, which are pictures, maps, charts that give information about our topic. We're going to look at the table of contents and chapter headings to show how information is organized in the text. And we are going to take note of important vocabulary words that explain what we're learning about. So I'm going to start right here with the table of contents. And we find the table of contents always at the beginning of a book, and that lists either the chapters or the parts of the story or the headings that you want to take note of that are broken into different parts. So this table of contents gives the page numbers of these topics in the story. Table of contents says who is the President of the United States, and then it says you'll find that on page 2. The next topic is what does the president do, and you find that on page 5. And the next part says who works with the president, and you would find that on page 9. And on page 13, who elects the president, and that's where you'll find that. And the glossary and the index are usually at the end of the book, and those are at page 16, and we'll talk about those when we get to there. The table of contents can really be helpful when you are doing a research project or you want to find out a specific piece of information, but you don't necessarily want to read the whole book. This book is pretty short though, so we're going to read the whole thing, and I'm going to make note of where I see the text features as we read. So I'm going to turn the page, and this is a chapter heading or a title of the part of the book, and you can tell it's important because it's in a different color. And so the chapter heading is who is the President of the United States. And again, sometimes when the text is in a different color, that means you really should pay attention to it. Okay. It says the President of the United States is the person who is in charge of the country. The President represents the country. This work is very important. And then down below here, well, there's a picture. That's a text feature, and that's a picture of the President. And then down here, this is called a caption. And the caption is specific words that match the picture. And again, it's in a different color, so you can tell it's important and you should pay attention to it. So the caption for that picture says, George Washington was the first president of the United States. So right here, we found 3 text features. We found the heading for the chapter. We found a picture. And we found a caption. And again, good readers pay attention to all those things while they read. All right, I'm going on to the next page. The president is also commander-in-chief, which means he or she is in charge of the military. The military is made up of the forces that keep the country safe. The forces consist of the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force, and the Army. And again, here's another text feature. Here's a picture, and that looks like Barack Obama. And then the caption that goes with it says, Barack Obama was the 44th president of the United States. All right, we're going to turn the page. All right, on the next page it says, the president lives and works in the White House. The president lives there with his or her family and pets. The White House is in Washington, D.C., the capital of the country. And here we have a picture, 2 pictures and a caption. It says John Adams was the first president to live in the White House. And then here is a picture of the White House right here. Ooh, I see another different color here, so this must be a heading that's going to tell us what the next part is about. It says, what does the president do? All right, here we go. The president has many responsibilities. One of them is to approve the laws. He or she also decides if the laws are good for all citizens. And here's a picture down here, and it says Congress prepares the laws. So here's a picture of Congress, and those are the people who make the laws for our country. Next page, the president gives speeches to address the people of the country. In these speeches, the president tells about his or her plans for the country. And this caption right here says, Abraham Lincoln gave a speech at Gettysburg. So there's a picture of that right there. The president is responsible for the relations of the United States with other countries. He or she names the ambassadors. The ambassadors are the people who live in other countries and represent the United States. So again, here's two pictures and a caption. This is President John F. Kennedy's daughter, Caroline. When she grew up, Caroline became the ambassador to Japan. So here she is as a little girl, and here she is as a grown-up. All right. The president also prepares a budget for the country. The budget helps the president decide how to spend the government's money. Here's two more text features. A picture here, it looks like a park ranger and maybe the Grand Canyon. It says the government spends money to improve the national parks. So the president has to decide how to spend our money that benefits all the citizens in our country. All right, I see another heading in a different color, so this is going to tell us another piece of information. Who works with the president? The president doesn't work alone. The vice president helps the president make decisions for the country. And here we have right here, Joe Biden was the vice president under President Obama. So there's a picture of the two of them, and there's the caption that matches the picture that tells about the page. Yep. In the White House, the president has an office. This office is called the Oval Office. This is where the president works. This is also where the president has meetings with world leaders. So there is Barack Obama, and it says the president has meetings in the Oval Office. So that's where the president works. The president has many meetings. He or she with the members of Congress and the secretaries, meet with the members of Congress and secretaries to discuss important matters. There's a lot of meetings. For example, the president meets with the Secretary of Transportation to discuss how to improve the country's roads, airports, and railways. So down here, here's a picture of some workers working to improve the country's airports. So again, that's the picture that matches what the page is talking about, and the words here in the caption tell about the picture. The president can also honor citizens. The president gives medals to people who have helped enrich the country. One medal awarded to citizens is the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Oh, down here is the picture. It says Oprah Winfrey receives the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Right there. All right, here's another heading. Who elects the president? The citizens elect their president. A president is elected every 4 years. Today, the same president can be elected twice. He or she can be president for 8 years or 2 terms. So 2 times in a row. And there's a picture here. Before the law was changed, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected the president 4 times. But then they switched the law. So now they can only be president for 2 times in a row. All right, turning the page here. To be president, first you have to be elected. Several people can run for office at the same time. These people are called candidates. Each one has different ideas for the country. Once people have voted on election day, the votes are counted. After the votes are counted, we know who the new president is. After taking office, the president works to help the people and lead the country forward. What would you do if you were the president of the United States? So here are people voting down here. And here's the president's fancy desk in the Oval Office. And the caption says, "This is the president's desk." All right, now here we are to another text feature. And like I said back at the beginning, the glossary and the index often come at the very end of a book. And the glossary makes note of special words that are important to understand in the story. So it's kind of like a little dictionary. So these are the words they wanted to make sure that we understood. Budget, that's a plan to know how much money there is and how to spend it. Candidates, that's another important word. It's a noun, people who wish to be elected. Citizens, we've talked about that word before. It's the people who live in the country. And election, that's a process for voting for someone or something. And we call that little dictionary in the back, we call that the glossary. And that's a text feature too. Down here, we have something called the index. And the index also helps you find important pieces of information quickly without reading the whole book over again. So if you wanted to learn about any of these things like John Adams or ambassadors or Congress or election day, it lists what those topics are and the page number where you would find them. So all those things are text features. And what you're going to do now is there's a little graphic organizer next where you are going to go and look back to the story and find where you can find some of those text features that we were just reading about. All right, let's get busy. Thanks, friends.